we've got a ton of fun content to present to you. Usually Roxy and I would probably like present this together as one, but unfortunately she had to go on a trip. Sorry, Roxy, I miss you here in DC.
I
But
know.
but today we're going to talk about how to get what you deserve at work through self-advocacy. My name is Rima Reyes. I am a principal product manager inside of Microsoft Teams Engineering at Microsoft. Roxy?
Hi, everyone, and my name is Roxy Ndebumadu. I am the Chief of Staff for Trust and Safety and Customer Experience at Twitch. If you're a gamer, then you know what we are. If not, then you need to know we're owned by Amazon. That's all that matters.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I will read my bio. Roxy, do you mind reading my bio and I'll read yours?
Oh, I'll read it. I love this. Okay. Rima is a dynamic, award-winning product visionary. In her downtime, she works on Microsoft Teams platform ecosystem. Through her awesomeness, she helps the team create and build features for Teams developers, making it easier for our partners and customers to integrate their own apps and services right into Teams. When Levi, her little pup, isn't barking from the window, she's exploring new snacks for him. She's also the co-host of M365 Government Community Call podcast. Please click on the link. It is fabulous. You can find her at aka.ms/Rima.
She's so good at this. This is amazing. Okay, so here's Roxy. She's also my best friend, by the way. So just FYI, she's mine. Thank you. Roxy is a badass, game-changing brand strategist, but let's not forget she's a modern-day fashionista too. On a good day, she works on the trust and safety and customer experience team, where her creativity helps lead the building, development, and enforcement of Twitch's community guidelines. At night and during the day, some call her Superwoman, but usually Councilwoman of the city of Bowie in Maryland will suffice. If you don't see her jamming at Pilates, she loves Pilates, or abruptly knocking on my door and prancing around in Louboutins, just know something might be wrong. Her podcast will actually be launching in January, so stay tuned. You can hit her up at aka.ms/Roxy or on Insta and Twitter at Roxy Ndebumadu. Okay, so exciting. So we've got a lot to cover today. As you can see, we're like a fun-loving bunch, right? We're going to cover our story. We're going to talk about a little bit about why self-advocacy is important. We're going to run through the tips, give you some resources, and then hit up Q&A. So, Roxy, kick us off.
Our story. Rima, you want to tell the story about how we met?
Oh, okay. Great, I'll kick us off. So, about 4 years ago, Roxy and I met. Roxy was working at Microsoft, and she was in customer success. I think I just joined engineering, and actually one of our mutual friends, John Moe, had connected us together. And there was something about you. I was like, oh my gosh, she's got such good energy. Like she's so positive, and she's such a like. You were always thinking two steps ahead, which I loved. And you could like read like what a customer really wanted before they even knew they wanted it. And I was like, this girl's special. So plus she like had this brown jacket that we'll never forget. I'm like, I love this jacket. So we started obviously working together, and then we started hanging out, and then we're like, wow, like there's like a lot that we feed off of each other. I feel like we try so hard to just like make each other better or like rethink things, and that's what I value and love about Roxy. But yeah, our friendship basically came from work and then grew to like a personal friendship ever since.
And what I'll also add to that, which is why this session is so personal to the both of us, like besides Rima's amazingness, like she was always so passionate about like mentoring women and making sure that women knew how to advocate for themselves at work. And not just women, just people in the engineering space, because I know many of you who have focused and worked on deeply technical products, you can understand kind of how that environment can be. And for myself, that's now at a startup, can understand how that environment can be. So I think why this session is so personal for both of us is because like we're very, very passionate about self-advocacy, and we've had to be very intentional about the way that we advocate for ourselves in order to get to where we are. Because I don't know if you guys noticed, we're both pretty young, I know. And to be kind of where we are and be in these roles and have the responsibility possibilities that we have and get to work on some of the products and the exciting projects that we have been able to work on, a lot of that takes self-advocacy and understanding your brand and understanding how to articulate that to get what you want. So very, very excited. And this is going to be a super great session. And at the end, we'll give you some tangible tips that you can all write down and implement in your daily life. So it's going to be really dope. Awesome. So let's talk about why self-advocacy is important, because I think a lot of people, when they think about self-advocacy, they're just like, well, why do I need to learn how to brag about myself? Why do I need to be intentional about telling people who I am? Why do I need to toot my own horn? Why do I need to really make sure that I'm sharing the fullness of myself and the things that I'm working on? And the reason why this is so important, and we're going to talk a lot about this throughout the session, but let me tell you a couple reasons. Connection being one. In order for you to get connected to the right people, they need to understand who you are at your core and the things that you're working on and what's unique about your brand and what they know to be true about you. So being able to be connected to the right people is super important for your career. And I think we all know that. Opportunity. In order for you to be thought of in the rooms that you're not in, people need to know about you. People need to know what you're working on. People need to know what you do. People need to know who you are and why that's important so that they can connect you to opportunities. I don't know about you, but I love to make money. That's just my thing. So income, that's part of it, because in order for you to be thought of opportunities and be brought in and thought of for the promotions and be able to scale your finances and things like that, if that's what's important to you, you need self-advocacy. Then when you think about career growth, how are you going to grow your career if nobody understands why you should be grown, or nobody understands what you're working on, or what your work impacts? People need to understand what it is that you do for you to be able to get thought of for those career growth opportunities, for those new roles, and for the other things that are out there that you actually want that other people know about. And then the last part is inspiration. You need to be able to inspire people. And maybe a lot of you are probably thinking like, but Roxy, I don't think of myself as an inspirational person. So like, I'm just going to leave that one for the birds. No, 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 no. Even Rima's this way. When I first met her, she never thought of herself as like, I'm just this inspirational figure, because I think some of us are so humble in the way that we show up that we don't think of ourselves like that. But then as you get to know her, as you get to witness her in rooms, as you get in those product conversations with her, as a young woman, especially a young African American woman, I'm like, whoa, damn, there's some things that you're teaching me that I didn't know about. And now you're showing me how I actually could be in the technical realm, even though I don't have that background. So that inspiration piece is important. And this is why self-advocacy is important. And I'll leave you with one thing before we go on to the next slide here. People often say this quote where they're just like, oh, if you work hard, the work will speak for itself. I'm here to tell you that's BS. I've seen millions of people in my career that work so hard and never get noticed and always get passed up for opportunities because they have the same mentality that if I just keep working hard and I just keep doing the best work, somehow, somewhere, somebody will notice and let me, twiddle my red shoes and hope to get home. No, like people will not know why they should think of you, why you should get thought of for opportunities if they don't know what's unique and special about you and what it is that you're working on. So this is why all these things are important.
Love it. Oh my gosh, love it. And by the way, I don't know if folks know this too. So Roxy, you were the youngest councilwoman in the city of Bowie ever, right? To ever be elected,
Yes,
right? Yeah. Okay. Let's
I
see.
admit it.
That's an inspiration to young women everywhere. So just FYI. All right, let's dive into those tangible tips. All right, take it away, Roxy.
All right. We can't talk about self-advocacy if we don't talk about knowing who you are at your core. And this is super important. This is why we have the magnifying glass. This is why we have the bullseye. This is why we have apples and oranges, because you don't eat the apple and the orange for the skin, do you? I hope you don't. And if you do in the comments, just go ahead and put it in there so we could subtly think about whether we're going to judge you right now. But my guess is that you don't eat the apple for the peel and you don't eat the orange for the peel. You peel it back slowly and you find that it gets better and better and better and better. That's why it's important to get to your core. Because when you get to your core, and you really get to the essence of who you are and help people understand that, that's how you can begin to understand how to advocate for yourself. It's funny, some of you might be thinking like, Roxy, I mean, what am I advocating for? Like, I don't understand. Like, what am I advocating for? you have to sit down and ask yourself some important questions, and even the people closest to you. What makes me unique? What do I add to the room when I walk in? What do people get and experience when they experience me? Why is my skill set special? What is it that I do and do well? What is my actual skill? Like, what is my superpower? And when you can answer all of those questions, that's when you can begin to explain to people who are you, why you should be thought of for opportunities, what your brand actually is. Because it's funny, the way that we actually got this session was because somebody DM'd me on LinkedIn, but it's because I did the work to understand what makes Roxy unique. What is it special about me? What do people get when they get me when I walk into the room? Sometimes that's, jokes for days, not in this setting, but on other days, it's really executive presence, it's strategy, it's, strategic branding, it's product connecting the dots, really understanding the infrastructure behind a product and why that matters to a consumer, or how you're going to articulate that to a customer. It's really understanding what process improvement means and what does it mean for your customer experience. It's really understanding, why do we need good QA scores? Why does that even matter? And that's what people get when they get me. When I walk into that room, they're going to get authentic Roxy, who is fashionable, that they might be looking at, is she going to the runway or is she coming to this meeting? Because that's who I am. They're going to get the person that's honest, that tells them the truth, no matter what level you are. I don't care if you're the president of the United States. I'm going to tell you what I think. And no, maybe I may not get the next opportunity because I was honest, but at least that's going to be unique to me. And so really getting to your core and understanding what is unique about you so that you can start to build. Next slide, Rima.
Oh, yes, I know. Well, let's go to the next slide really quick, but I want to add something else. But yes, go ahead. Yeah, the irrefutable brand.
The
Yes.
irrefutable brand. So what does that mean? And why should you have an irrefutable brand? An irrefutable brand is going to influence everything that happens to you internally based on the external. How do people perceive you? And the reason why I put a Google search up here, because I'm always Googling myself, because I just really need to. It's really important to Google myself because you never know what's out there. But how you show up to the external world is going to determine how you are treated in an internal world. If you have a brand that is irrefutable, whenever you have an off-kilter experience internally, or whenever you're advocating for yourself, you have other people that are speaking on your behalf where you don't even need to say it for yourself. I Googled myself this morning. I was on the phone with Rima, and this just tickled me. And I pulled up this website that said like facts, celebrity facts or something of that sort. And I got this biography where it was talking about Roxy's an American politician, technology leader, modern day game changer. She's innovating and blah, 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 blah. That's what I mean by your external presence. Being able to have an external presence that's so sound that you have people that speak on your behalf and say your name in rooms that you are not privy to, i.e. promotion. We all know how promotion works. It's you not being able to be in a room with other people talking on your behalf about whether you should get something that you know that you have worked for and earned. In most cases, I hope you earned it, that you know you worked for and earned. And so that's what it means to have an irrefutable brand that speaks for itself, that externally influences your internal experience.
Can I add an example of this? So what was really interesting before I came into Microsoft, and I was always like very nervous and like scared because I was like, oh, I'm like not good enough, or like I'm not smart enough. Like I had those like kind of like, negative thoughts, I guess, in my mind before joining. But I was really big in like the SharePoint community. So I don't know if folks like know there's like a big Microsoft SharePoint community. So I was always involved just because from my own self, like I wanted to learn and I wanted to understand more about it. And I started getting to know people and people started understanding like my genuine curiosity and how I wanted to make things better. And oddly enough, because of that SharePoint group and that community, that's really kind of how I got connected and got into Microsoft. I had somebody recommend me, and my day one, I literally knew a ton of people because of that community. So it was essentially like that brand of who I was outside of Microsoft, like had already kind of clicked and worked. And people on day one were like, oh my gosh, she's awesome. She's cool. Like, we're so excited to have you here. And that's when I was like, oh wow, like this is really, really powerful stuff.
Yeah. And the only thing I'll add to, like, Rima, a good point that you bring up before we go to the next slide is that you don't have to, like, when you're thinking about what your brand is, because I know a lot of people are like, oh, I don't really know what that is. Like, I work on teams, but I'm not just all teams, or like there are other components to me. Your brand doesn't have to be niche. It does not have to be. You don't have to be known for just one thing, because I think a lot of misconceptions around marketing is that you do one thing, you do it super well, and that's what you're known for. But it doesn't have to be that, because different people will think of you for different things. But when you start to rise in leadership, because I know we have a lot of senior leaders on the line here, when you start to rise in leadership, it's no longer about just that one thing that you do well. It's about leading people. It's about building effective teams. It's about connecting to consumers. It's about mitigating risk. It's about managing the company brand. It's about so many different components. And so don't think of your brand as just one part of you. Think about your brand as, what is it that people get when they get you? What is it that you bring to the table? What is it that uniquely only you can add to the discussion in your own way? And let that stand for itself, and make sure that you're exposing people to that so they can speak on your behalf.
Hey Roxy, there's a lot of kind of chit chat on the chat around how do introverts do it, and like how do they kind of like speak up, or how do they kind of get in meetings. And something that somebody said from Paige, speaking out loud or in meetings is a skill that can be learned, but it's also about, hey, where do you get your energy from? And I know that's something that you and I talk about like what kind of powers us and motivates us to kind of go outside of ourselves. Like I always kind of take an assessment and say, hey, like, does this bring me joy? Does this bring me energy? Do I want to continue doing this? If this doesn't bring me joy, then maybe it's time for me to reassess or pivot on like what I'm doing, either in that role or in that moment or in that day, whatever it may be. So, but anyways, to kind of come back to the introvert conversation, do you have any tips around how an introvert can kind of get to their core and build their brand?
I'll go into that on the next slide.
Okay. Okay. Perfect.
I think this is key, because it's funny. You guys are energy. I'm actually an introverted person, very introverted. I'm at a conference right now, and there are like 200 women downstairs, and I'm like looking around like, yikes, I don't even know where to start. Yikes. Oh my gosh, I don't really want to talk to any of you. Oh my gosh, yikes. Even when it comes to doing these presentations, I'm super introverted and very nervous, like, even though you just can't tell. But I think what's so important about building your brand is being authentic to yourself, right? So like when you are thought of for these opportunities, or when you are there's two aspects to this, there's two components. One is just do it. Just put yourself out there. Sometimes you're just gonna have to face your fears and walk up to somebody and just say like, hi, I really like your aura. My name's Roxy. I'd love to learn more about you. Where are you from? Like, and I do that a lot, even though I cringe while I do it. And I probably like close my eyes and do this thing like, am I really doing this? Yeah. But the moral of the story is sometimes you're just going to have to do it and face your fears. And then sometimes, even when you're thinking about like building your brand or connecting or networking on like things like LinkedIn, just really DMing people and really complimenting them and talking about what it is that you see that you actually like, or what it is that's encouraging about that person that you experience. I think the other part about that is just really raising your hand for things, like really just letting your curiosity drive you. Rima talked about her experience with SharePoint and how she was known for being curious. Sometimes our brand is developed around just us asking questions, or us just being in the room looking to learn because it's something that's intriguing and unique to us. So building a brand and having an irrefutable brand doesn't always mean that you're this energetic, like extra, like super extroverted looking person, because that is not me, right? It's just about what's authentic to you and being known for what's authentic to you. I am authentic to myself in every single setting. And I put these pictures on here for a very particular reason. On the left picture, you see me in Dolce and Gabbana with the sales associate having the time of my life. Like, I love fashion. That's unique to me. And in there, I'm like, you guys need a better experience, customer experience. I don't know the app, maybe there's like some things you can do here, like that kind of thing. The next picture is me and my mentor, Michael Steele. That's a political setting. This little giggly, yah, rah, rah, rah type person, that's who I am. And I'm not going to shy away from that because we're in a political stuffy setting. The next picture is me with my own business, because I own a small scale consulting firm, talking on water, wastewater management and sustainability. And
Mm.
as you can see, I'm very unique to me because I am a naturally funny person. That is just who I am. I like to joke. I like to enjoy myself. So I'm going to bring that experience to every single setting. And I'm also going to open and be honest sometimes and tell you guys, hey, I'm really nervous to be sitting on this stage. So I just want to put that out there if I start stumbling or anything, but just walk with me. Just walk with me. I'm sure we'll find our cadence somewhere down the line. So I think it's you channel through by just being authentic and unapologetically knowing what it is that you want. I am unapologetic about the fact that I want to be rich and wealthy, like Oprah level. I'm sorry, I can't shy away from that. So I'm authentic about that. And does that drive my performance? Does that drive some of the things I do? Absolutely. But if I own that and if I make sure that people know that when opportunities arise, they will think of me because they're like, well, Roxy wants to be wealthy. She likes fashion. Well, she likes all these things and she's authentic. At least we know we'll laugh. Like maybe we should bring her in for this one. Like maybe that's a good opportunity. So I think it's just about being authentic and whatever's true to you, don't conform for the settings because that's not unique, right? They're not getting you when they get the confirmation, the conforming. So I'll pass it over to Rima for the fourth tip.
Yeah, just one last thing I'll say about this too. My favorite quote is "Be yourself. Everyone else is already taken," and it's so so true. It's something I absolutely live by. I will say, when you join companies or you join groups or like large groups even, right? There's always like a cultural precedent that's there. And then what you'll notice is that since you're new, like people will try to tell you like how to act, how to be, how to do. And what will happen is like inadvertently you'll start getting some anxiety. That's what happened to me, right? Because something isn't matching up. Like who you are isn't maybe necessarily matching up to that group. So what it took for me to kind of let some of that go was to say, hey, I'm going to just lead with whatever my gut says. Sometimes my gut is going to be wrong and I'm going to make decisions that are wrong. But guess what? It's going to adjust. It's going to self adjust. So that eventually I kind of get to like a gut that guides me in the right place, right? What happened for me when I started doing that was I was sleeping better. I was more calm. I was more relaxed. Like, and people were like, "Oh, like Rima, like." They started seeing who I really was because I was being who I really was, and that has a natural magnetism to it. And I think that's what, like Roxy, that's your superpower because you're very authentic and you're very like at ease with yourself, and people are drawn to that. They're like, "Oh, this person's like really comfortable. I want to be around that person," and that's just like a kind of natural outcome that I think is really really cool about authenticity and just doing it at work, right? Or in personal life.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you. Can I just say one more thing on
Yeah,
authenticity real quick, Rima? Because I,
of
I was
course, of
watching
course,
I was
please.
watching in the comments the whole I didn't get that. I can't do that. I'm too old or I'm too young or why did I say that? That was just so stupid. I'm gonna rebuke all of that for you. Okay. I'm gonna rebuke that. Like, I'm just gonna rebuke that something didn't happen because you were too old or too young. Like, that's not gonna be your life and that's just not gonna be your future. So I'm just gonna rebuke that right now because there are plenty. I'm 29 years old and I feel like I've lived a lifetime, to be honest with you, and I'm just getting started. And so I think it's about when you find what's special and unique about you, there are so many assessments out here for it. You can do Strengths Finder, you can do core assessment. There's so many assessments where you can learn what's unique about you. And I ask you, go ask three of your closest friends, even your colleagues, what's my strength? What do you think my strength is?
Mhm.
What do you think is important about me when I walk in the room? Like what do you think is unique? And that's when you start to learn what's special about yourself so you can rebuke the I'm too old or I'm too young and you can start to turn those things into your superpower. I am young so I understand a younger audience and consumers. You're trying to market to Gen Z, I got you. You're trying to market to millennials, I got you. Even the baby boomers, I might got you too. So like really understanding what's unique to you and rebuking those mentalities and then also saying oh, why did I just say that? That sounded so dumb. We are on a journey called life. We will say things and do things at specific moments because that is specific to that moment. Leave it with that moment and let it go. And let's move on from that moment. Let's not dwell on, oh, why'd I say that? Because if you're being authentic, that's what you wanted to say in that moment. So you said it. And people will know and let people
Yep.
follow you on that growth journey too. But now I'll pass over to Rima because she's going to talk about storytelling. And it's going to be really important for us when we talk about letting people follow you on that journey with them.
Okay, yeah. So, like, I think a lot of folks said, "Hey, listen, I'm introverted. I don't know a lot about public speaking. Like, it makes me nervous." I will say when I started this journey, I was very anxious about it too. So I started doing like SharePoint Saturdays. I was doing like little ones here and there, and also the SharePoint user group. I actually started when I joined the SharePoint user group. I joined as a member, and then I volunteered and asked, "Hey, can I be like an actual like marketing person, and then a VP, and then eventually I became president of that SharePoint user group, and it forced me to be in front of people every month, and that also helped open doors for more and more conferences. And so even though I felt like, okay, what I'm speaking about is like, is it smart enough? Like, I'm gonna be like around a bunch of experts. Like, is what I'm saying dumb, right? And I realized that there are a million people in the world that know a lot more than you, and there's a million people in the world that know a lot less than you. So never judge or think that what you're saying or what you're talking about isn't gonna land with someone, because it will. It absolutely will. So I highly encourage folks, like whatever conference, whatever thing you can kind of like sign up and speak at, you'd be surprised like what you learn from it, but also what others learn from you. So this whole journey kind of ended me up. Eventually, I did a keynote for a conference, which was like, whew, I like prepped. You have no idea like how many hours I prepped because I wanted it to be so good. And it was actually a little bit about my life, and I wanted to do something that was inspiring because I wanted to talk about my background, and that was something that was comfortable for me, and it was something that I knew really well. And I did a whole bunch of pictures, kind of like what we're doing here, right? And I wanted to say, hey, listen, I came from a non-technical background, but here I am, and here's what I did. And it was all due to hard work and perseverance and passion because I actually loved doing it. Like I would read books at night, like, those like really thick technical books. I just read those at night just because I had people who said, oh, you don't have a technical degree. You don't know what you're talking about. And I was like, I'm going to prove these people wrong. And sure enough, I did. And so when I had that keynote, things kind of came full circle for me. Like I was on a stage in front of, almost 1,000 people, and I was telling them my story. And I had so many people who came up to me afterwards who said, oh my gosh, like your story was amazing. Like that resonated with me. I cried. I was like, what? You cried? Like that's it's amazing. So like you would be surprised as to what your story, what your passion, and what you say can matter to someone else. You might not get that direct feedback all the time, but I'm telling you, what you say matters. So there's a bunch of different places you can go. Like Sessionize has like a bunch of conference like things that you can sign up for to be a speaker. Obviously, Google, look at the Microsoft events calendar, see what's happening. You never know. Um, I don't get accepted into every single conference, obviously. But you want to try your best at numbers. So what I do at the beginning of the year, I create about 3 or 4 presentations that I end up reusing or that I end up using to like apply to various conferences throughout the year, right? And so that way I feel set, I've got my content, I'm good to go, and I just keep on applying. And you never know what one conference might like, another conference might not. And so it's trial and error, right? And you'll eventually figure out what does a session title like really look like to grab people in. So again, just keep that in the back of your mind. It's trial and error. um oh, sorry. So the other thing I want to talk about was surrounding yourself with the right people. As I've surrounded myself with Roxy is an incredibly positive and like just futuristic thinking person. She's refreshing, and she challenges how I think. She's like, Rima, no, 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 don't think like that. That's bad, right? She's making a face because she knows. She absolutely knows. So if you surround yourself with negative people or people who don't kind of treat you the best or don't look at you the way that you feel like you should be looked at, right? That has an effect on you. So you got to kind of start at a blank slate, and that's what I did actually in my mid 20s. I said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna get rid of like all the people that I have around me right now because they're kind of negatively impacting my sense of self. And so I went back to the drawing board, and now all the people that I have around me are people that I love and that love me back, right? And so key to have just this like connected self. And we always talk about each other's superpowers all the time. Like yesterday, telling Roxy, I'm like, you're amazing at this. This is what you're amazing. Like all these things. I'm like, let me bulletize this for you because this is what I see. You might not see this about yourself, but this is what I see. The other thing that's really key on this is you want to make sure that you have the right sponsors, the right allies, and the right mentors. So something that I do is I observe my leadership. And I'm not talking about just my manager. I'm talking about my manager's manager, my manager's manager's manager, maybe corporate vice president, all these people. I observe like who they talk to. And in meetings, if they agree with someone or if somebody's speaking to them that they're like, oh yeah, like that makes sense, or they tend to be really open to what that other person's saying, then I'm like, maybe I should make that other person my mentor. And why? Because that CVP or VP has a circle of influence of people that they listen to. So in order for you to get into that circle, you want to kind of go a roundabout way, right? And kind of get into the person that they're listening to and maybe use them as your mentor in case like that VP can't be your mentor directly. So that's something that I always do. Like whenever I go to offsites, meetings, even virtual meetings, in the office, whatever, I just watch. Just look at who's talking to who and who's got those alliances, right? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And then of course, obviously ask those people to bring your mentors. In work, you're going to have sponsorship. I know Roxy talked a lot about that, right? Having the right people who are going to bring you into the right rooms at work, who are going to advocate on behalf of you. It doesn't have to be a mentor. It can be somebody that really enjoys being around you or somebody that you've done good work for and vice versa. They can be your sponsor. You never know, right? So it's always about leading with who you are, making sure that who you're talking about too is also a good person, right? So like you want to just again bring yourself around the right people, people who will advertise you, advocate for you, know what you do, and bring you into the rooms that you might not be necessarily in today. So I don't know, Roxy, do you want to add anything onto that?
No, I'm gonna let you go because we don't have that much time left.
Oh, we don't? Okay. Okay. So, final thing I will say is about other advocacy. So, it's not just about yourself, it's about advocating for others. So, I have a couple of people actually on here and in this call here too that actually I've brought into Microsoft because I love them to death and they're amazing people and they do amazing work. Because, Roxy and I were friends, we've been friends with Jeremy, with Jay, there's so many things that you can do where you can be inclusive of others and you can also make sure that other people's voices get heard. If somebody's an introvert in a meeting and you're not and you're an extrovert, advocate for them, highlight their work. So if you're an introvert and you don't like being the center of attention, you don't like speaking up, find someone who will do it for you because it's absolutely possible. I work with someone who's very introverted and I was able to highlight her work consistently time and time again because she's so good. She's so amazing inside of meetings with other higher level leadership. And guess what? She's getting mentioned in meetings without her even saying anything. And that's what you want, right? That's exactly what you want. That's why sponsorship and ally is really, really important. The other thing I'll say too is make sure you effectively communicate what your teammates need to be successful as well. Because again, it's yes, you want to communicate what you need, but it's also about others. So, anyways, I know we're at time. We'll end this with some final resources here. These are great books that we've all used to kind of bring ourselves up into this game. So, wanted to share that and thank you, thank you.
And also make sure that for all of those who had questions around your passion, Iasia Brown is hosting a session on pivoting into your passion right after this. Make sure that you go to her session. She will talk to you more about how to pivot into your passion because I know there was a lot of talk about that and we didn't get to it. Thank you for joining us. You're all amazing. You all have such unique brands. And I hope that you leverage these resources to make sure that you advocate for yourself and get what you truly want.
Thank you. Thanks all.